Welcome back to our second week of NFL, guys. We're going to go over how we did last week and then our predictions for this upcoming week. So, last week, I was 11-4-1. Brett was 8-7-1. A couple games, Packers and the Bears. I was wrong on that one. Bills and Jets, and the Titans and the Browns. Brett did have the right one on the Raiders-Broncos game, so all in all, not real bad, but week one you don't know quite what to predict. So going into week two here, folks. So week two, we'll go over what our predictions and our fantasy players for each game. So for week one, game one Thursday night, I got the Bucks at the Panthers. I got the Panthers beating them 28-14. My fantasy player in this game, I think, will be Ed McCaffrey.
And I think the Panthers are going to win 21-17. I think it's going to be a pure running game by the Panthers. I don't think they're going to pass that much that game because I don't think they have to. They're just going to run against the Bucks defense.
On our game two, 49ers at the Bengals. 49ers showed a lot with their defense last week. I think they're going to show up again this week. Even though it's at Bengals, I'm giving them a 21-17 over the Bengals. 49ers win. I think the fantasy player you want this game, it would be Kittle, the tight end for 49ers.
I think the 49ers are going to win 31-14. I think this is one of the blowout games that every team is going to have once a year. And the 49ers are going to have it week 2 against the Bengals.
Our game 3 of the week, Vikings at the Packers. This one was a hard one, folks. Packers defense really showed up and kind of caught the Bears off their game last week. Vikings, a little more veteran quarterback. I know we got a few injuries here and there, but I think Thielen, Cook, they're going to have their way with the Packers defense a little bit more than what the Bears did. So I'm putting an upset on this one, guys. I'm having the Vikings 17-14 over the Packers at home just because of the Vikings defense and a little better offense. And to me, it's going to be Cook and Rodgers are the two you want in your fantasy leagues, but I think Cook's going to have a good game running.
And I also have the Vikings winning 28-21. Packers defense did catch me by surprise of how good they were against the Bears. But I think the Vikings defense is a slight better and their offense a slight better because I think that the backfield of the Vikings defense will stop Adams because week 1 against the Bears, Aaron Rodgers is passing to Adams almost every single play. So I think the Vikings will lock Adams down and they'll win this game.
So our next game is the Bills at the Giants. Bills had a comeback win last week. What I saw, for me, what their comeback reason was Singletary. He had a little more spark to their offense, a little faster, quicker. I'm throwing a call in here of having him as your fantasy league player you want on your Bills team this week is Singletary, their running back. Barkley, he's going to have some good numbers on the Giants, but I got the Bills winning this 28-24 at the Giants. So Bills over the Giants, Singletary and Barkley, your two running backs for each team, I think are going to be your fantasy leaguers you want.
And I have the Giants winning 17-7 with Barkley running. I think he's one of the better young running backs, but I think he would run and at least take 75% of the plays. And I think the quarterbacks of the Giants will switch out and they'll test their backups because they did draft a quarterback in the draft, and I think they'll test him out.
Our next game is Jaguars at the Texans. I know Jaguars had their hands full last week, plus with their Foles going off for the rest of the year with a broken collarbone. I think the backup quarterback for Jacksonville did just fine. I think Fournette's going to have a good game here. So Fournette, Texans, you can't take nothing away from the quarterback and wide receiver there, Watson and Hopkins. But I see giving the edge to the Jaguars in this one. I got the Jaguars 21-10. I think they're going to come in and surprise the Texans.
I think the Texans are going to win 17-10. Last week against the Saints, I had them winning, but they lost by a last-second field goal. But I think Hopkins, in my opinion, is the number one receiver. And I said that last week, and I'm going to say it again. He's the number one receiver, and I think they're going to win the game because of him.
Next game on our list are the Chargers at the Lions. I'm saying Chargers. I think they're going to pass. I would get your Chargers wide receivers both in there. Rivers wouldn't be a bad start, but I'm saying your wide receivers are going to be a better start. I really don't have anybody for the Lions doing the greatest in this game against the Chargers defense. So Chargers 24, Lions 21.
And I have the Chargers winning 28-13. I think the Chargers are going to be only a passing. This is going to be a purely passing game. And I think Philip Rivers will pass for at least all 4 of the touchdowns. Since they're going to score 28 points, I think he's going to pass for all those touchdowns. And I think you should put him on your team on the fantasy draft.
Next game we got on our list is the Seahawks at the Steelers. I think the Seahawks' defense, they didn't show up the greatest last week, but I think they're going to show up even more. Steelers, I don't know if they quite are all on the same page yet. I think Juju's going to have a decent game. Connor will have some runs. I think Russell Wilson, you want to start for the Seahawks. I think they're going to pass. And I'm giving the Seahawks a 28-24 victory in this one. So, Seahawks.
And I have the Seahawks winning 31-10. I think Russell Wilson and the running backs will run, and I think their running backs will switch in and out throughout the game, like they did last year. But I think Russell Wilson and those running backs will have the slight edge against the Steelers' defense and throw them off with play actions. And I think the Seahawks will win this one.
Our next game on our list are the Cowboys at the Redskins. Cowboys looked pretty potent last week with Elliott back in the lineup. Redskins, they didn't look bad. I mean, decent passing game. Their main running back's hurt, so you got Peterson most likely starting this game. I don't know if I would play him. I think the Redskins are going to get down quick enough. I think they'll be trying to pass again, try to catch up with the Cowboys, because I'm giving the Cowboys a 35-21 win in this one. Players you want, I think you want Dak, Elliott, and Cooper for the Cowboys. There's your 3 fantasy league starters in this game.
I have the Cowboys winning 17-10. Last week I said without Elliott on their team, but that he did show up on their team, get a new contract, and they did win that game. And I think they're going to win this game also. 2 wins in a row.
Next one, you have the Patriots and the Dolphins. I'm sorry, the Dolphins in the rebuilding. They're just, you get the Patriots going in there. You want Brady. I think you want running backs for the New England too. I know they got a couple different ones. I think each one of them may score. I don't expect Antonio Brown to be in this game with everything going on. I wouldn't bet on him. I wouldn't even put him in my lineup. I still think the Patriots got a 38-10 victory on this easy. It might be bigger than that. But I said Patriots, get Brady, get the Patriots defense as well as the running backs.
And I have the Patriots winning 31-28, and I think Antonio Brown is going to play this game. But every year, the Dolphins surprisingly beat the Patriots like last year, and I think the Dolphins will have a comeback at the very end, but I think Antonio Brown and Tom Brady will have the slight edge.
Next game, Cardinals at the Ravens. Cardinals rookie quarterback Murray wasn't bad. I think he's got to learn some stuff with the big leagues yet. Ravens defense, that's too much for him to overcome quite yet. I still wouldn't mind putting Fitzgerald in as a Cardinals receiver. Ravens, I'd get Jackson in as a quarterback. Ingram's going to probably have another decent game. I'm giving the Ravens this one 31-21 over the Cardinals.
And I have the Ravens winning 32-12. Last week I said it was going to be a low-scoring game, but Ravens quarterback passed all over their opponent's defense and scored over 50 points. And Kyle Murray, again, he hasn't shown anything in preseason or this regular season, so I only have them scoring field goals, but I think the Ravens will win this one.
Our next one is the Colts at the Titans. Titans showed up and played last week. I was impressed. I didn't have them winning. They came in and really cleaned house. Henry's my starter for the Titans this week. Colts, I don't know. Right now, I don't know if T.Y. Hilton is a 50-50. I would start him, or get him in my league. I got the Titans winning this one 17-10 over the Colts.
And I have the Colts winning 28-14. Both teams I had last week losing, but both of the teams, especially the Colts quarterback, showed hope for their team since Andrew Luck left in the last preseason game. but I think the Colts' backup quarterback is going to win this game 28-14.
Chiefs at the Raiders. Raiders, quick passes. They impressed me last week with their. I think they had a lot to prove with the whole Antonio Brown thing. They came in and showed they don't really need him right now anyway. The Chiefs are still a superpower team. I got Mahomes starting. I think Damian Williams may have a few more receptions with a few guys injured on the Chiefs receiving core. So I'll give him. I think him as well as McCoy starting. I get the Chiefs winning this one 32-28 at a close one at Raiders.
And I also think it's going to be a very close one. Chiefs 24, Raiders 21. I have the Chiefs winning this one because I think they're going to throw a couple trick plays against the Raiders. And the Raiders last week, without Antonio Brown, they did very good against the Broncos defense with Vic Fangio. But the Chiefs, they have a very good very good offense, and I think they'll pass and do some trick plays against the Raiders and win.
Our next game, Saints and the Rams. Talking about a little payback for the playoffs last year. I see the Saints coming in here with a little chip on their shoulder, even though they're at the Rams. Gurley, they didn't run him a whole lot last week. I think they're kind of trying to keep him healthy. They may need him a little more this week, but I still think the Saints, with Kamara, Thomas, Breeze, they're looking for some payback, and I think they're going to pull this one off 35-28 over the Rams.
And I think the Saints won 28-17. It's a rematch from the playoffs, and I think the Saints will be a little angry because the missed pass interference call. But since they can challenge that, they won't be worried about that anymore. And I think they would pass over the Rams' defense, and I think Kamara at least scores 2 touchdowns that game.
Our next one, Bears at Broncos. There's a Bears versus their old defensive coach here, but they may have defense a little bit in Broncos, but they don't have much of an offense. I think the Bears, I know they kind of got surprised by the Packers last week, but I think they're going to run a little bit more, pass probably a little bit more too. You look at the stats from the Green Bay Packers game. Bears had more passing yards, more rushing yards. Aaron Rodgers had 2 passes that hurt him. One to Graham in the end zone, and one for 58 yards to one of the wide receivers. Without those, Bears held them. I think the Bears defense are going to come in there and just totally stop the Broncos. There are no lucky passes here. I'm giving the Bears a win, 17-10. I think Montgomery's going to show up a little bit more in this one and do a little more running once the Bears get the lead.
And I think the Bears will win 23-10. Week 1, none of their starters. During preseason, the Bears, none of their starters played except for Trubisky and Roquan Smith, but Trubisky never threw any passes. And I think they would run more against the Broncos than they did Week 1. And I think Trubisky will see wide open receivers and pass more and get out of the pocket more and win this game.
Our next one, Eagles at Falcons. Falcons kind of showed they didn't have a whole lot of defense last week. Where the Eagles, they came back, I think they kind of woke up and realized what they have there with Deshaun Jackson back. So I'm going with Wentz and Deshaun Jackson. And the running backs, the Eagles they got 3 different ones. I know they didn't use Howard a whole lot. I do like their rookie running back, and I think Foles is going to have some running. I think they're going to beat the Falcons at the Falcons. Eagles 35, Falcons 24.
I have the Falcons winning this one 34-31. Both teams are good, but I think Falcons are a little better than the Eagles. And the Eagles do have all the running backs and Carson Wentz as their quarterback. Both the Falcons, with Matt Ryan and Julio Jones, I think they would have 3 more points than the Eagles.
All right, Monday night game, Browns and the Jets. I think the Browns kind of got a shocker last week. I think they're going to come back a little bit more upset this week, even though they're at the Jets. I see the Browns maybe pulling this one out. I think they're going to have a couple surprises. Beckham, I think he's a little slow. They said he couldn't sprint real fast yet, but he can still catch the ball. I just think the Browns got a little better defense right now, even though Jets have Bell. I definitely get Bell in the lineup as well as Beckham. I got the Browns coming out on this one, 21-17.
And I have the Browns winning 17-3. With Le'Veon Bell and the Jets, I think the Browns defense will stop them and will hold them to 3 points. And with Baker Mayfield and Antonio Brown, they'll at least score 2 touchdowns with them.
So next week, guys, will be week 3. We'll go over our week 2 results. Vote, guys. Give us some comments. Loser next week has to wear the shit hat during presentation. Yes or no? Loser has to wear our nice little hat. Whoever has the worst record. So otherwise, like our channel, guys. Subscribe to us. We try to do our best here. And predictions, we weren't too bad off for week 1. See what we do for week 2 here. Like I said, so subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you guys in week 3.